"Oh look, there's news about you and that guy," Awerin said while lying on the bed in the afternoon, scrolling through her phone. The two of them were relaxing together, avoiding the sun. Later in the evening, they planned to go for a walk and drive out to a seafood restaurant a little way from the hotel. How did someone even see us? Mevika looked away from her own phone, where she had been reading Gmails, and leaned over to see Awerin's screen. "I think he probably told someone to take pictures so it would become a news," Awerin laughed. "Not happy about it, but I don't know if you'll agree, maybe this news will distract people from talking about us for a while. I don't really want to be in the news with someone like that, but let's just leave it for now. It's not true anyway. One day, people will figure that out." "You mean they'll figure out that I'm the real one? You're impossible." Mevika playfully tapped Awerin's forehead with her fingertip before leaning against her shoulder. "Well, you are mine," Awerin said in a straightforward tone. She wrapped her arms around Mevika's neck and pulled her into a tight hug, holding onto her possessively. "Oh, right. Besides this news, I've noticed that people have started sharing stories about how Siam Arena hasn't been managing their concession areas properly. Remember when I told you they'd get criticized for this? Now, we don't even need to push the news. Social media is doing the work for us." "As expected from you," Mevika praised her. She had always admired Awerin's sharp instincts since Sethi first met. "Your predictions are always spot on. It's not that hard. We just have to make predictions. Having a lot of information is a good thing. It helps us think and make decisions more easily. Is there anything else you want to know about the bidding process? Maybe I can help answer it. You make it sound like we're not even competing against each other." "Well," Awerin laughed, "some things can be shared. I already told you I don't want to have an unfair advantage. I want a fair competition. I also have something that gives me an advantage over," smirked. "And I can't use it to help you either." "HMPH," Awerin pouted. "So, have you finalized your bid yet?" she asked calmly. "I think so. On Monday, I have to go back for a full review meeting, just like a real presentation to see if anything needs to be added. 20 billion might be too low, don't you think?" Awerin casually threw out a number. "Is that the number you estimated too? Of course, it's too low. Ah, but I just remembered we probably shouldn't discuss numbers too much." Mevika quickly stopped herself from commenting further. "Yeah, you're right." Awerin chuckled softly before mumbling to herself. "Maybe I should set it at 30 billion instead." "Wouldn't that be too high?" Mevika blurted out her opinion before she could stop herself. "Too high," Awerin repeated, then grinned. "Oh, I was exaggerating. The price will probably jump anyway." She lowered her voice, then quickly changed the subject. "Ugh, afternoons like this make me so sleepy." She loosened her arms around Mevika, who shifted to lean against the headboard. Awerin lay down with her head on a pillow, quietly scrolling through her phone. For a while, they were both lost in their own worlds, busy with their phones. Since this last-minute trip didn't give them time to bring much tech equipment, Awerin had left her iPad in the car. That meant all they had for work was their phones, just enough to handle basic tasks. Anything that required serious brainpower was left behind in Bangkok, waiting for them to deal with it tomorrow. After about 15 minutes of silence, it turned out that Mevika was the one who got sleepy instead. She shifted down onto the pillow, trying to fight off her drowsiness as she continued looking at work files on her phone. Eventually, she dozed off, letting her phone slip from her hand. Awerin glanced at her and smiled when she saw the phone still in her hand, its screen left on. She intended to take it and set it aside properly so Mevika could sleep comfortably. But as she reached for it, her eyes caught sight off the spreadsheet left open on the screen. Curious, she leaned in closer and carefully pulled the phone from Mevika's hand, making sure not to wake her. She checked to see if Mevika was deeply asleep, then secretly scrolled through the file. The spreadsheet contained well-analyzed numbers arranged neatly in tables, but there wasn't a final summarized figure on that page. It was probably on an author tab. She didn't scroll far enough to see everything, but the information she did glimpse was important. Even without the final number, this was valuable enough for now. Awerin quietly locked the phone screen and placed it beside Mevika's pillow. As she lay back down on her own pillow, Mevika stirred, rubbing her eyes sleepily before blinking up at her, realizing she had dozed off. Seeing Awerin watching her, Mevika scooted closer, snuggling up to her with a soft, affectionate murmur. "So sleepy, hug me." Awerin shifted slightly to make it easier for Mevika to cuddle against her. She wrapped her arms around Mevika. a happy smile forming on her lips at her rare moment of affection. This, this was what she wanted from Mevika, and now she had it. She gently stroked the soft hair in her arms and whispered, "Be this sweet to me more often, okay?" The car moved smoothly along the open road, with only a few vehicles traveling in the same lane at a comfortable distance. The drive was relaxed, accompanied by soft international music playing in the background. From time to time, their conversation filled the quiet moments. "Do you think anyone will recognize us here in Patya?" Awarin suddenly asked, bringing up the topic. "I haven't thought about that at all, being able to do what I want. I completely forgot about those worries," Mevika said with a smile. "If you forget your worries when you do what you want, that means you're happy." Awarin glanced at her and smiled. "Fine, I'll admit it. Yes, I'm happy. Just the two of us on this trip, I feel relaxed. I'm glad I finally got to do what I wanted with you. Thanks again for coming with me." "Let's come again sometime," Mevika said this time, inviting Awarin directly. She seemed to have stopped resisting the idea. Let's come again," Awarin agreed, feeling happy to hear that. "But what if someone writes about us? Are you worried?" "I'm fine with it, definitely better than being in the news with that ration guy. But I'd rather it be after the bidding is over. If anyone writes about us, I won't deny it. I'll admit it openly. You don't think they'll twist it into some kind of scandal?" That Biscari," Mevika squinted, imagining the headlines. "Something like a 5-star businesswoman secretly dining with the heir of a famous department store." "What?" Awarin burst out laughing. "A 5-star businesswoman? You mean from a hotel, right? Well, it's a subtle hint. Just calling you a businesswoman is too vague. Beautif, they say 5-star. You don't mean 5-star as in looks, do you?" "Actually," I teased, leaning in to glance at Awarin as she drove. "Complimenting me openly now." Mevika stretched the sound, pretending to think before chuckling. "Been thinking it for a long time." Laughed and reached out her hand toward Mevika. Mevika took it without hesitation. Awarin squeezed her fingers gently. She was thinking about everything waiting for her when they got back, but right now she didn't want to talk about any of it. She just wanted Mevika to be her support, even without words. Awarin knew that Mevika had a lot to carry when she returned, responsibilities, expectations, and challenges. But before they parted, she wanted to give her even just a little encouragement. "This coming week, both of us are going to be really busy. We might not see each other much," Awarin said. "So keep going, okay? You have to win against great and grow. Before everything wraps up, make the best decisions you can." Mevika nodded before flashing a smile. "And what if I want to beat Oriana too?" "Then," Awarin chuckled softly, "go ahead, beat me, beat Oriana, take first place." "Of course, Superior is definitely going to win against Oriana," Mevika declared loudly, her voice filling the car. Awarin smiled but turned her gaze back to the road as a thought crept into her mind. She let out a quiet sigh and stole a glance at Mevika. A faint smile still lingered on her face, and she stared out the windshield, filled with hope. When they arrived, Mevika stepped out of Awarin's car, carrying a fabric tote bag she had bought from a beachside shop. She hadn't brought any extra clothes, but since she had picked up 2 new outfits, she had to take her old ones home to wash. Her friend, who had been waiting for her, immediately grabbed the bag to help. Mevika waved at Awarin with a big, toothy smile, looking as if she were trying to build goodwill. Once Awarin's car drove away, she turned to her friend with a sharp look. "Before you go get your car, you have to talk to me first." She quickly slung the tote bag over her shoulder, then grabbed both of her friend's arms, pulling her close. "What is going on? You and Awarin, aren't you supposed to be business rivals for the auction?" She paused, struggling to find the right words before blurting out, "Are you? Secretly have a relationship with her. The woman you stayed over with, it's her, isn't it? And now you've even gone on an overnight trip to the beach together. Oh, come on." Mevika sighed and gave a dry smile. "Already asked and answered everything yourself. What else is there for me to say?" "No way, you have to answer so we can be clear. Are you dating her? Are you two a couple?" "Wait, I already told you, not yet. We're just, how should I say it, seeing each other." "Seeing each other, like sleeping together too." Natarin let go of her friend's arm and covered her mouth with both hands. "Oh my, see, you answered it all by yourself." "Why are you even asking me? You slept with her. With Awarin, the famous and gorgeous businesswoman. Hey, I know her because of you. A long time ago, you talked about her. You said she was your idol, right? You admired how smart and beautiful she was. That's how I know about her." "Yeah," Mevika said, thinking for a moment. "Sleeping with someone who's your idol isn't wrong, right? She likes me after all." "You seriously admitting it just like that?" Natarin covered her mouth with one hand. You used to admire her, and now you... Enough, enough. What are you even saying? Mevika laughed, teasing her friend. Just admire her for being smart and a great role model for modern women, that's all. As for why we got involved, well, there were a lot of reasons that brought us together. We keep our business rivalry separate from our personal relationship. But no one knows about this yet. I'm telling Yao because we're close, so don't go spreading it around until the bidding process is over. Then what? Nadarin's eyes widened with curiosity. Oh, Mevika dragged out the word, thinking of how to phrase it. Well, we'll decide then what we are to each other. So this isn't just a casual thing anymore, is it? Nadarin bit her lip, shaking her head slowly with a look of concern. I told you from the start, if this relationship is real, I'll support you. I really hope it works out because you've never given your heart away this easily before. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. I've never let myself feel this way so easily before. But for someone like me, this time, it just feels a lot easier than ever. Mevika smiled. Mevika stepped forward and hugged her friend tightly. Thank you so much for supporting me. I'm really hoping that this decision will be the right one for me. Monday mornings at work are something many people wish they could avoid. Most employees start their week feeling unprepared and would rather go back home to sleep. But for Awarin, she had never felt that way. Work was a fun and essential part of her life, however. This morning felt different. After waking up next to someone for days in a row, today was the first morning she woke up alone in her hotel room. She found herself zoning out a little. And there was something else on her mind, something making this morning feel uneasy. Still, she couldn't afford to let it slow her down. This week was far too important. Awarin stepped into the elevator inside the Oriana First office building. She stood next to an employee who recognized her. Since she often spoke casually with staff, many people saw her as approachable, even if she carried an air of authority. The woman quickly turned to her and greeted her politely. Good morning, Ms. AI. Going up to the 15th floor? Good morning. Yes, I am, thank you. All right. Elevator doors were about to close when someone pressed the button to reopen them. The person who stepped in was Athiwit, who had probably just arrived at work as well. Oh, same timing as always, Athiwit remarked casually. The female employee quickly gave him a respectful why and then pressed the button for the 16th floor, knowing her role well. She then stepped forward to stand by the control panel, giving the father and daughter space to talk. But instead of a conversation, they each spoke separate sentences. It's just part of my usual routine, Awarin replied in a neutral tone, making sure the employee wouldn't pick up on any tension between her and her father. Athiwit simply smiled in response, saying nothing more. A long silence filled the elevator until it reached the 12th floor, where the employee stepped out, leaving just the two of them alone. Now, they had a brief moment to talk before the elevator reached the 15th floor. Looks like you haven't been back to the hotel for 2 nights. Were you with that woman? Is everything going well? Athiwit smiled. Of course, Awarin replied firmly, irritated that her father seemed to be supporting her relationship with Mevika. But she knew it wasn't genuine support. It was just a convenient acknowledgement, nothing more. Then you should understand what you need to do, her father continued. That's all I want to remind you. No matter what else is on your mind, when it comes to work, you've always been great. This time, you just need to be even better. The only difference is that now, we have to be smarter. Don't think of it as doing something wrong, we just need to be quicker than everyone else. If you're trusting me to handle this, then let me make my own decisions. No matter the outcome, Awarin said, looking at her father seriously just as the elevator doors opened. They had reached her office floor while his was on the next. As she walked past her secretary's desk, the woman greeted her and immediately reported on her scheduled appointment. Good morning, Ms. AI. Mr. Nan has arrived and is on his way up. He's early. Let him in as soon as he gets here. Understood. Awarin pushed open the door to her office. She set down her bag, turned it in her computer, and sat in her chair. While waiting for the system to boot up, she checked her phone. It wasn't long before there was a knock on the door and someone stepped inside. Good morning, she greeted her guest. This wasn't their first time working together. She had hired him for several tasks before, but today he was about to take on something more urgent. Need your help again, gathering information like before, but this time you'll have to be extra careful. Understood, Ms. AI, Nan said as he stepped up to her desk, ready to receive his instructions. You remember how we discussed having a trusted contact inside Great and Grow's bidding team? I've heard whispers that they're negotiating something with one of the senior committee members. Find out what Greater is up to for me. Do you need specific numbers as well? No, not for great and grow. I want to beat them with my own capabilities decisions, not by copying their answers. But since they're using connections to gain an advantage over us, we just need to stay ahead of them. That's all I need. Understood. If that's all, I'll investigate as quickly as possible. Have to close this deal by the end of the week. I need the information within 2 days. I'll handle it within 2 days. Thank you. Oh, and this stays between you and me. Don't tell anyone at Oriana, not even my secretary or my father. Report directly to me only. I don't want anyone's opinions, just the information so I can decide for myself. Understood. I'll do exactly as you asked. That's all. You'll need to move quickly. Of course. I'll take my leave now. Man, in his mid-30s, gave Awerin a slight bow before swiftly exiting her office, moving with urgency as if he had already started working in the task the moment she gave the order. Awerin rested her elbow on the desk, pressing her fingertips to her temple as she stared at the closed door. She let herself sink into her thoughts before exhaling softly and whispering to herself, I can't let anyone else win this bid.